over into one of our ICO tokens, or not ICO, but like one of our post ICO tokens rather, then they're going to charge you that little extra percentage fee because they're trying to disincentivize you from buying that asset. And so one good workaround is instead of using the swap functionality, then you use the trade functionality instead. Or like what many people are doing is they say, we're not going to use Lobster anymore. We're going to jump straight to the Lumendex app instead. That way we avoid it completely because Lumendex does not have all these sticks and wheels. But so if you take that same analogy and you apply it over to here, then why would people continue to trade assets that cost them 200 times more than what they could be doing on the Stellar ecosystem for 200 times less, right? They would save money working in Stellar than continuing to stay outside of Stellar. So that's a really good example of it. And then you kind of made it veiled by saying the margin may vary depending on the directional flow of funds. So again, guys, it sounds like they're going to create a system where if you flow the fund into Stellar, it's favorable. If you flow the fund out of Stellar, it's not favorable. That way, they're training people through Pavlovian response to stay within the Stellar ecosystem.
Also,
Mhm.
that's going to help with liquidity greatly. I mean, it's going to take right now we have like a fragmented or illiquidity, or we have fragmented liquidity. So by allowing all these things to come in and out, whether it's off chain or on chain, but it'll reduce the liquidity problems that we have today. And I think they'll probably use generative AI to find places that are having liquidity problems and shuffle things around. I can see that also happening.
Yeah, I think that's a possibility for the future. And we'll get into liquidity a little bit more in the next two steps as well. But you're absolutely right. Like they are addressing the liquidity issues, and bringing in all these assets is part of building the liquidity that we've been talking about for a long time. So, just in summary, it talks about how you can swap your off-chain assets. You can wrap them into Stellar, or you don't have to wrap them either. You can just use a different asset entirely. But that's how you activate the price oracles that are in step 40, which we'll talk about at the very end. So basically, the anchors are transitioning all assets into Stellar, even if there's no wrapped collateral equivalent. This is how you bring in liquidity, like Sinjin just said, into Stellar. You stabilize the prices. It also reconfirms SEP 24, the hosted deposit and withdrawal one. All of those fees attached to it are what discourages people from trading, like using specific trading pairs. And then you encourage others, right? Like you encourage the Stellar pairs instead. That way you train people to use Stellar only over time. And then it also just reconfirms that it's a one-way bridge into Stellar and not out of Stellar. So, okay. Step 39,